our neighbor's house burned to the ground, and it was on a Tuesday. Tuesday night, I woke up and I saw orange on our walls, and I asked Connie, what's going on? She had no clue, so I go to the bathroom, and the house is on fire. And it was literally, Ash Wednesday was the next day.
Yeah, it burned on Fat Tuesday.
Yeah, so it was Ash Wednesday. And she gave her coats to the ladies because they're standing outside, freezing. They don't have anything.
Staring at what used to be their house.
They just ran out of the house with what they had. They ended up losing their dog. We helped with the finances of cremating the dog. I went over there with the fire department and got that and took care of that for them.
Yeah, we didn't want them to have to do that.
They almost lost a son. Daughter was dragging him down the stairs, and he smelled the smoke, hurt his eyes. He turned around, went back upstairs. She turned around, grabbed him, pulled him back down, so she saved his life. It was a really success story because nobody died. And it was just very nice to be able to help somebody in need like that. We prayed upon it and said, what are we going to do for him? Well, we thought about it overnight. We prayed on it. I called her the next day. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when and what. So we came up with a number and I went over there, and I've maybe had 5 conversations with the man. Nice gentleman. Handed him a wad of cash and said, do with this what you can for your family. And he just broke down, and it
Oh, sorry.
It made me cry. He was scared, really scared. He didn't know where he was going. He didn't know if he'd be able to rebuild.
He told us he wasn't even sure if he had mortgage insurance, which, I mean, pretty much if you have a mortgage, you have to, or your mortgage company puts it on there. But he didn't know. He just stood there, and he was standing in the middle of the road, just staring at what was his life, and it was gone.
Of course, it was right in our backyard, so we couldn't not see it. But if our hands were tied, we couldn't have done anything. We wouldn't have been able to help your neighbor like we're directed to. Connie and I came from separate marriages, previous marriages, and money issues were prevalent in both relationships, and it put a strain on the relationship. And after we got together, I wanted to do something different. I didn't want that same problem appearing in my life again.
When I got divorced and I was single again, I was obviously by myself. Unfortunately, I inherited most of the financial issues that I had in my prior marriage. So I was one income and double the bills, and every single paycheck was planned on a calendar. I had to think about when bills were due so I knew what day to pay them, and every time I got paid, the money just seemed to fly out of my hands. And I was angry, and I sat on the floor, and I had the phone in my hand, and I just cried because I was so mad I let this happen to me. I'm smart. I'm well educated. How did I get here? And how am I getting out? So, after I was done being mad, I decided it was time to dig. And dig. And dig some more. And it took 4 years of struggle. He had been listening to Dave Ramsey on the radio. We both commuted a long ways. And he, when we were really starting to talk seriously about getting married, said, I've been listening to this guy and he's doing things different and it makes sense. And there's a biblical component that I've really never heard before. And we had been talking about trying to find a church because we hadn't, either one of us, been in one in a long time. And I started listening, and I'm like, okay, I could have used you 4 years ago when I was really trying to get my act together, but it really made sense. And the part that really clung to my brain and my heart was that there was something in the Bible that really made sense and was really applicable to me and I really needed it. And it really made me wonder what else I was missing by not nurturing my spiritual self and kind of feasting on what other instruction was there, because I just didn't know. I was ignorant. So we decided as our Christmas gift to each other the first year we were married to take Financial Peace University. I was so controlling about my money because I had worked so hard to get out of debt that I was really afraid to even trust him. I'd trust him to be married, but I wasn't going to trust him with my paycheck because I was so afraid. And so we decided that if we were going to really combine our lives and be unified, we had to do things not his way, not my way, but a different way.
It was God's way.
It had to be different.
And that's what he teaches, is right out of the Bible.
And when you finally get there, you finally get to that point where debt is no longer just squeezing the breath out of you all the time, and you start to relax, other things are easier. And I don't know how to explain that in any other way, but when you're not concerned about your financial security anymore, you know you're going to make your bills, and you have a little bit extra to take your spouse out for dinner or buy your kids an extra coat for winter. There's a peace in your heart that makes it easier to all of a sudden see other people in need. And that's a part of our life right now that is really fun. So our kids think that they have this mysterious Uncle Dave who lives in Tennessee, because when we got married, being older, we knew we might have trouble having kids, and we wanted to start trying right away. Well, it quickly became apparent that it wasn't going to be easy for us. So within 6 months, we were at the infertility specialist's office, and I'm sure there's people in the congregation who understand that infertility is not covered by insurance. And frankly, 4.5 years of infertility treatment would have been impossible if we had still had car payments and credit card payments. It just wouldn't have been possible. In fact, adoption is very expensive, and that would have been out of the realm of possibility because we were no longer going to go into debt for anything. It was just out of the picture.
So on our budget form, we have a section down at the bottom. It says, buy a kid.
Yeah, we weren't sure how we were going to get kids, but we were going to have some. So whether it was infertility treatment or adopting, the Buy a Kid fund was every single penny that was left over every week in the budget until we saved up for whatever the next treatment option was or what the next medication was. And we could have probably bought a nice small starter home for what we have invested in our kids, but the outcome obviously is...
We would have never done it if we didn't have our plan together.
Nope. So, Dave Ramsey is Uncle Dave at our house, because without Uncle Dave, we wouldn't have our babies.
It's pretty much the story.